What's up, everyone, and welcome. You're watching Well-Rounded Individual. I'm your host, Adam Schindler, and we've got a great episode for you today. I have an amazing guest. He is a sober fitness coach, a philanthropist, a speaker, the man, the myth, the legend, Dorian Warmsley. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm excellent, man. Glad to have you here.
I appreciate you inviting me and wanting to have me on, your podcast. I think it's a very great honor. Known you from a good amount of time. And this is dope, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And honestly, I'm honored as well because just everything that I've seen you do over the last few years, you embody what I would say is a well-rounded individual, and you're continuing to grow.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to create this platform, is because I want to bring value to those who see someone like you and wonder, like, how did he come from this to this? And be able to provide just a path for them, no matter what they want, they can relate to you, they can relate to someone else that may be on here as well, but being well-rounded. So with that being said, and the name of the show being Well-Rounded Individual, what would you say to you? What does that mean to you? What are some characteristics?
I think a well-rounded individual is somebody who knows themselves. You're able to accept yourself regardless of what you went through or things you've done. You can sit back and own it and know yourself. Once you know yourself, you're more confident. You're not worried about what other people say. You're not worried about other people do or how they perceive you. I think once you're able to do that, then that kind of leads you to being more open to your emotional side. What a lot of us tend to ignore, our emotional and spiritual side of things, because the physical also is part of being well-rounded. You want to take care of yourself, take care of your body.
Yep.
We're not here for a long time. As you age, it's going to deteriorate on its own, so you better take care of it now. But I think those are the main things. When you're able to know yourself, understand yourself on the emotional side, and also physical activity, whatever it is, yoga, hiking, weightlifting, whatever brings joy to you, that way you enjoy it. You don't dread doing it.
Right.
If you hate working out, lifting weights, it's going to suck, But if you love yoga and that's your shit, are you going to be able to cuss? All right, well, you continue to do your yoga.
Absolutely. And what I'm hearing you say too is just like, find something that works for you, right? It doesn't have to be a list of accomplishments, but also a being, right? So like, it's almost like an aura, or a being within yourself. You know yourself, you're not self-conscious, you're aware and confident within yourself. Part of being well-rounded as well. I agree. And I think also, other than the list of accomplishments, how you show up for people, right? How you treat other people, the energy you bring into a room, and just being able to bring a light where sometimes there isn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And, I think back to what you said about how you treat people. I think it's very important also. It's so easy. It takes too much energy to be an asshole to people. You know what I mean? To be mean and to do all these things. And that's why I said know yourself. Because once you know yourself, you kind of figure out and realize all the things you went through. So that person you're being mean to, whatever, they got some shit going on too.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to, it sounds crazy, but I truly believe in the saying of treat others how you want to be treated. I go into that with almost anything I do. And it's unfortunate because you're going to get burned sometimes, but that's just part of it. You got to accept it. Like, it's about them, not me.
Right. And going through road bumps is part of the process, right? I never met a well-rounded individual or a well-rounded person who had an easy path the whole time, and I truly believe that it takes obstacles and things to go through and ups and downs and a lot of controversy to become, the person that you eventually become, right? It's really hard to find, I'm sure there are, but someone who's 21 that's very well-rounded, right? They have to live life. They have to go through things in order to, build that character and build just a set and like a list of things that they've done that they can show that they are who they say they are. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you've had an amazing journey, and especially with the sober journey. I don't know if you want to tell that story real quickly. I know that you've told it before.
Yeah, I love telling it,
and I love to hear it.
Yeah.
So if you could tell it, go ahead and tell it.
Yeah, so I'm just sober now. I just had another month, so I'm 30 months in, or alcohol free 30 months. And then I've been sober from alcohol and weed about 11 months. So in August, we'll make it a year complete sobriety. Alcohol was easier to give up for me because just things I've been through in life. So I understood who I wanted to become and who I wanted to be. Alcohol couldn't come with me anymore. You know, when I decided to give up alcohol, I started going into business for myself. And I just realized if I'm going to be my own boss, I got to wake up on time. I got to stay late or wake up earlier, maintain my clients, you know, all those things. And I can't be hungover and have alcohol come between that. And so, yeah, it was just over 900 days. It's not easy. You know, I was telling somebody this the other day because they asked me about it, a newer client I have. And I told her how, for me, the easy part was giving it up, to be honest. Like, because I understood that it wasn't for me. The hard part came down the line, almost a year in, where your mind starts to change. You know, you become who you were always supposed to be. And I almost had like an identity crisis because I had to learn who I was without alcohol when it came to dating, interacting with people, out in having fun. That was the hard part. Then I had to get a coach. So I think it's very important people get coaches for whatever they do. But yeah, that's the sobriety journey. I do sober coaching for people who are looking to cut back or completely stop and need a helping hand.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. And you're doing great work. And I think I've told you this before, but you helped me by proxy.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember. When we first became ambassadors at Lulu. I remember like you started, or you gave up alcohol like not too, because you're what, 700, I'm at 900 days.
Yeah, I'll be 2 years.
So like a few months.
This month. Yeah.
It was like a few months before you had started. I remember you telling me that. And
yeah,
I
think
like, wow.
you began at the beginning of the year and I began that July.
Yeah.
And I saw you doing it and I saw you posting about it and I was like, man, it was really inspiring to me. And, you know, it was actually a real push that got me to that point because I was the type of person, you know, like I didn't think I had a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say that per se I had a problem with alcohol, but I can tell you one thing. All my problems stem from alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
That was 100%. You know what I mean? Because when I wasn't drinking, man, straight and narrow all the time. But get a few drinks in me, I turned into a wild man, you know? And even though I didn't get in trouble or, you know, harm myself or anything like that, I absolutely could have.
Yeah.
There are definitely times that I was in a place where by the grace of God or luck or whatever it may be, I turned out just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But many times there have been many people in those same circumstances that didn't.
No, 100%.
So I can just say I was lucky, I guess, you know. But another thing that I wanted to ask you as well is on that road to where you've come and everything that you've been through, do you find that like that was necessary for you to ultimately get out of, you know, like the hell or like the trap that was what you were in? Do you think that the level of like danger that you encountered was necessary? If it would have been less, would have been not as, you know, imminent for you to get out?
Sobriety?
Yeah.
Are you asking about the accident or the sobriety?
The accident or just things along the line.
I think I don't know. It's interesting because the accident happened in 2014. For those, I mean, people on your podcast probably won't know. I fell out a 4-story window in 2014 because I was blacked out drunk and, you know, things happened. But I still drank for 8 years after, you know what I mean? And still had blackout nights, still was doing all these things, telling myself lies of why it's okay. I'm at home. It's okay to drink and get blacked out. I'm at home. Right. You know, little things like that I would tell myself. But I honestly got tired. And I think it's what it takes for people just to get tired of their own shit and realize they value themselves. That's what it was. I started to value myself like, you know what? I'm meant to do more than just get drunk, chase girls, work this regular ass job that I don't even like. Like, no, this ain't what life is about. I definitely have some value. I survived falling from a 4-story window. People need to hear this.
Right.
Because there's people out there who story probably isn't as bad or maybe even worse, but they need to hear somebody else's to kind of help them feel inspired and understand that change is possible. And after 8 years, I was like, you know what? Like you said, a lot of problems happened when you were drinking. I had to think back and I was like, wow, went to jail, arguments with friends, spent unnecessary money, woke up blacked out across town in the middle of the street, just dumb things that happened over 8 years and almost dying with alcohol. And I'm like, you know what? If you want different, you got to do different.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Alcohol's going to go for now. I never gave myself a date. I just said, hey, right now we're not drinking.
Right.
So I definitely think all those tough things were necessary for me to get to where I'm at now. Because when I look back, I'm like, wow. Sometimes I forget until I get asked a question like that and I have to ponder like, wow, there really was some shit that had happened.
Right. And I mean, it makes you see how far you've come as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that correlates along all spectrums, right? Whether it be being sober or fitness, right? You and I were in the gym every day, so we see the people who struggle with that, right? Making that type of change in their life.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Those step-by-step, day-by-day actions that you have to overcome. So would you say, not even just sober, but like through your lifestyle, through your fitness, through your coaching, everything like that? What are some daily practices that like keep your head in the game?
I think one thing that's very important is people to have a plan, routine, ritual, whatever you want to call it, because then you have some structure and something to follow. Or I like to tell people have a blueprint, because obviously as your days go and you wake up and things like that, it's not always going to go as planned, but at least you have some structures and you can pivot throughout the day. So being intentional with your day. Some people don't. They literally just scroll their phone, go to bed, wake up. Oh shit, gotta go to work. However they're feeling is how they'll move. You know what I mean? They're feeling good, they'll get up quicker. If they're feeling like, they might snooze a little longer, brush their teeth, whatever. They're tired, so they're gonna go instantly to coffee. And they're going off of how they feel, which I think is not good, because you're not gonna make conscious actions, to move intentionally. So I think being intentional with your time and your days is so important. Before you go to bed, setting yourself up for success by, having your meal prep ready, or having your water bottle ready, your gym bag ready, your work clothes ready. So when you wake up, you have to think little. Right. It's literally like, okay, bag, grab, shake, grab, water, grab, out. And a morning routine. For me, my personal morning routine is I wake up, I do my 5-minute journal. It's a journal I got on Amazon, because I was never a journal person, but it's supposed to help you, ask you some questions. Right. It takes 5 minutes. I read my awareness practice book that I've used for 10 years to see what the day quote is and what the homework is. And then I'll scroll a little bit before I head out. I'll scroll a little bit, change, and then, head to work and get to work, and there we are,
right.
But in my mind, I think it's important people to be intentional with their time and days.
I'm glad you said that, because I was literally just about to bring that back, because I think the most important thing that you said in that was the word intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it be intentional with your day, intentional with your habits, intentionally being happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not always happy. Sometimes we wake up in a bad mood, anything like this. You can intentionally try to be happy and change your day, right? So being intentional with your emotions, being intentional with your schedule, being intentional with your words even. A lot of times what we speak comes to life. And I am guilty that sometimes I just like fly off, right? I'm not always intentional with my words, but when I catch myself not being and I bring it back, it always kind of sets me back into place.
Yeah.
Right? So I love that word, intentional.
Yeah, because, and back to the plan, like when you have a structure and something to follow, a lot of shit can happen around you, but all right, that's fine. I gotta follow what I know is good for me. Like for me, for example, it's so set in stone in my head that it's probably not good, but I've been able to block out almost my emotions in a sense. So if I'm feeling good, I'm feeling bad, it don't fucking matter. I gotta get up, I gotta do these certain things and get to work, because there's people who depend on me to, in a sense, brighten up their day or keep them accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's part of where you learn more too, right? And this comes back to like my fighting days and my jiu-jitsu days, right? I learned more teaching than I ever did as a student, right? So even though you can learn a lot as a student, when you start teaching, you start replaying it the other way. You start seeing things from an outside perspective rather from inside the box, right? It really helps you identify. You can see things in someone else that you're like, oh, like you need to do this and you need to do that. Then you're like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that as well. You know what I mean? So I think that that's really important. It's also having that outside accountability.
I think I've heard, I can't remember who said it or how it goes. It's saying along the lines of like, when you're trying to learn something new, you read it, you obviously learn it, you practice it, but you don't master it until you teach it. Once you're able to start teaching something to somebody, then that's when you kind of master it. And I was like, wow, that's fucking crazy.
Right.
I forgot who said it or what, but it was something like that.
No, I agree, because the best way, you know, like we've already said, is that when you teach, you learn more. But you shouldn't be teaching anything that you aren't already like proficient in.
Yeah.
You know what? That kind of brings me to a point too.
What?
How many people do you see on the internet teaching things that they aren't proficient in nowadays?
All the time. It's that's why I love David Goggins when he said it one time in a quote, like it's so fucking easy to be great these days. And Instagram is a perfect example. You got a good following, you're good looking, you're funny. You can get on there, go viral, and then sell anything, and people are gonna buy it because of your likeness. So it's quite interesting. I see it a lot in the fitness world. You know, there's people who never trained somebody in person a day in their life, but they're online giving all the advice. I don't think they're not knowledgeable, but I think as being somebody who's been hands-on for 5 years, that's where you really learn. Because there's a lot that goes into it than just giving out a workout and throwing some fake motivational quotes at people.
Right.
So it's quite interesting.
And also in that spectrum, in that realm as well, it's easy to see what they want you to see, right? So that's something that I always really like focus on for myself. I'm not going to take advice from anybody who I don't see also following through, right? Because, I mean, I think we all know with the internet and social media, talk's cheaper than it ever has been before.
Yeah.
Right now, anyone can talk the talk, but being able to walk the walk and show daily that you are exactly who you say you are is super important. So what are some of the most, like, the things that you do that are most important to you to say, like, this is what makes me who I am, as far as like being able to be an instructor of something?
Yeah. For me, what makes me me is that regardless of who's in the room or who I'm around, I'm always my true self. You know what I mean? Like, always my true self, regardless if it's you, your mom in the room, Obama, whoever, you're still going to get the same me. I was telling somebody this the other day, it's one of the biggest things I'm proud of. Like, you can meet somebody, the past 10 years of my life, from before my accident until now, you could probably meet one person that knew me, all 10 people, one person a year, and they'll probably give you similar answers of who I am as a person, character-wise. I think that's very important. I also think what makes me me is that I take my word serious. If I tell you I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. If I tell you I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I don't just say it just because it sounds good. I used to be that kind of person, like, yeah, I'll be there, and just to say it. Now I'm more intentional because I appreciate people's time. You know, I value my time, so I'm going to make sure if I tell you I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. I'm probably going to be there before you. So I think that's very important that people should start taking into account, is being a person of your word, which I promise you this is not the case these days. I've come across a lot of people who just be talking, man, and I hate it. I'm like, just get out my face, please. Like, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's super common, and being able to follow through on your word is important to build trust. Like, trust in a relationship, whether it be a friendship or a trainer-client or, you know, a romantic relationship. You know, that's the foundation, right? Is trust. And that is part of what being, I think, a well-rounded individual as well is that you do what you say and you say what you do. That's one of the most important things to me in having a friend, having an acquaintance, a colleague, a romantic person, is authenticity. Authenticity is a word that I think is like thrown around a lot. But it's simple, right? Do what you say what you do, and be authentic.
Dropping gems, I see.
What's up?
So you over here dropping gems?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think about this stuff, this kind of stuff all day long.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm running, wheels are spinning all the time. And I wish that I could just have like a camera follow me while I'm running 24/7.
Do you journal?
Huh? No, not anymore.
Maybe you should
I
start.
had before. I should.
Maybe you should start right before your run or right after your run, where all the endorphins are going and you're like hype.
Right.
Bring a little notepad with you.
Yeah. You know,
So that way you don't wait to get home. Right when you finish, just pull it out your little fanny pack or whatever and just all those thoughts. Because some of those thoughts could be ideas for your show, workouts. Because I'm the same way where my mind is just, I mean, I don't write either. I should. I'm giving this advice. I don't do it. My coach always tells me to, but I'm the same way where my mind will just run. I'm like, fuck. I always think in my head, like, I'll store it in my head. I'll remember it.
Yeah.
I never do.
Yeah.
The next day comes, it's a bunch of new thoughts.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Do you remember during the pandemic whenever I was running and I was doing those videos every single day, kind of like Goggin style?
Yeah.
I have no idea where any of those are now.
What?
Yeah, man, I don't know where they are. Also, I don't know if you remember, but I had that blog. I had like a Squarespace blog. It was like through the pandemic, and I started like writing every week. I think it's still on Squarespace, but I don't have it anymore. But that's really smart. Like,
Might be time to get back to
I
it.
should definitely get back into that because that's something that I can add to my repertoire.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone can continue to just build things. Right. Just keep your toolbox. Continue to add things into your toolbox. I mean, it's endless.
Yeah. Gotta get back to it, man. Get back to what you were doing that got you to this point sometimes. But it's easy to forget because life changes. You kind of forget what you were doing and you fall out of it.
Cool. Well, let's kind of change gears here. Like,
All
let's
right,
talk
change
about like,
Mhm.
what are you looking forward to like in the future? What are some things like, what are some plans that you have like for yourself, for your business, maybe like business wise, athletically, that you're excited about that you think is going to help like build you?
Things I'm excited about always are the fact, I have two coaches, life coach and business coach. It's always exciting to sit with them weekly and, go over ideas and go over just exploring myself differently. My sober wellness coaching program, I'm excited for that. I'm going to relaunch it again, probably September. I want to hit my 1,000-day mark of sobriety. I don't know, man. I've been thinking a lot about, I went to Costa Rica for the first time out the country back in April. And when I was there, and I didn't want to leave, but it opened my eyes to a lot. I was like, man, I would love to live here. So in the next coming maybe year or so, I want to learn and figure how to possibly go online, so I can work remotely and live somewhere else for a little bit while I'm young, no kids, no ties, take advantage of that time. Maybe go find a wife in Costa Rica. Who knows? I'm not against it. Pick up my Spanish get my Spanish a little better, but that's pretty exciting. I'm also excited about events that I put together, as well as, I do charity events and wellness events. I got one coming up in August for Black Business Month. It's going to be like an expo, a bunch of small Black businesses, have panelists talking about health. Health is wealth is the name of it. So just having people there who are in the physical and emotional side of fitness.
Mm.
So therapists, trainers, yogis, massage, things of that nature. That's the next thing coming up. But
where's it going to be?
It's going to be so a good friend of mine named Devontae, he runs and owns Greater Youth Sports, which is a nonprofit, and they give free sports to kids. So he has a new facility he just got in the north of Las Vegas area. So it'll be at his gym. It's a big gym, beautiful gym. And then part of the sales from the event are going to go towards his charity. So we're pretty much raising some money for his charity to keep that going for the youth. But yeah, that's it, man. That's coming up. I'm coming up on 10 years of falling out a 4-story window in November. So I'm thinking about putting an event together for that.
Yo, that would be really cool.
Yeah. And like, I'm working on and figuring out how to turn the sobriety also into events. Because I love training. I love speaking. I love doing these things, but I also love putting together events. This is so fulfilling for me. My coach always asks me, like, why you want to do it? And I'm like, I don't know. Just you get a good feeling once you're in there and like everybody's around having a good time, especially if it's for charity and you're around all like-minded people because they know what the event is.
Yeah.
They're there for the same exact reason. It's not too often you're around that. One of the only times you're probably around something like that is like maybe a sporting event.
Right.
Everybody's there going for the Knights or going for the Cowboys.
And what's great about it is
He's a Cowboy hater, that's why.
Hey, I'm a Cowboy too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He likes the Niners, but
Oh.
But
what's great about it too is it's something that you've created,
Mm.
right? So there's a really great quote, and it's Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom says it
yeah,
all the time. It's not about the pursuit of happiness; it's about the happiness of pursuit, right? So it's that as humans, we think that getting to a goal is ultimately what's going to make us happy, but there have been studies that have found that we're most fulfilled and most happy while we're pursuing. Once you get to the goal, that's why everyone, these super ambitious people, whether it be physically, monetarily, business-wise, they get to a goal, what happens? What's next,
mm-hmm.
right? Because you got that dump, right? You get that like almost dump, like, okay, I got it. I don't have anything to pursue. I must pursue.
Yeah,
right?
That's crazy because that's how it is when I put these events together. They're stressful at times because, you got to get vendors, you got to get people, you got to promote it to make sure it pops. And going through it, I'm always like, God damn, all this stuff. But then it's going, and as it's happening, the dopamine and stuff starts to come down because I'm like, oh, it's coming to an end. And before you know it, it's over. I've never been married or anything, but I've heard people say things about that when they have weddings. Like, it's like a flash. You think all these things, but before you know it, it's over. So it's crazy.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that happens with a lot of things, right? That when we put so much value on this end product and then you get let down.
Yeah.
So, big weddings are a bad idea in many ways.
Man, who you telling? Unless your family come from money and you can afford it, I guess, do your thing. There's some people who literally go in debt just to...
Now you're going to be in debt and sad.
Yeah.
Sad, double sad.
No honeymoon, bro. Fuck that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, for sure. And I find the same thing. That's what, like, back whenever I was competing. And now I'm so happy to be competing again in something that I don't have to worry about getting punched in the face for.
That's better.
It is much better to not have to worry about that.
Yeah, dude. Fuck that.
So the High Rocks thing, right?
Yeah.
So, like, now I have Mexico City already booked. I've got Anaheim booked.
When's Mexico City? When
Mexico
is that?
City is November 9th. Actually. So it's still like 5 months away. But I got November 9th, Mexico City, and then December 7th in Anaheim. They actually just opened Toronto a second day in October. So those are all the North American ones that are potentials. Because all the other ones right now are either in Australia or Europe. Eventually, I'd like to go to Europe for one. But
Bro, you can become one of their professional coaches.
Yeah, that's definitely
because I know a girl
on the list of things.
I was working at this other gym. This girl, she was doing them all the time, right? And she has a coach, a High Rocks coach.
Mm-hmm.
There's like High Rocks coaches, then you can go, I think essentially like go pro, and that's what it sounds like you're doing.
Yeah,
you go to these next 3, and before you know it, you're going to be Adam the High Rocks guy.
That's what I would like to do because I did compete in the pro level at Anaheim. And I did well for my first time. There's some things that like I definitely learned. I felt like I laid off the gas because I was worried about gassing out.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of times where I wasn't prepared because I learned about High Rocks 3 weeks before I did.
Yeah.
And then, but I did really well, but I was looking, and so I finished 42nd out of 139.
Damn.
Not bad for my first time at the pro level. But I was looking at the Mexico event from April, and my time would have been 5th place overall there.
Oh, shit.
So I'm looking to improve and be in the top 10 whenever I go there. But I'm going to have to go up to Mount Charleston and start training at elevation because I don't know if you knew, Mexico City is like 7,000 or 8,000 feet elevation.
Yeah, Mexico City is what was it? I literally just saw a fact about that. Not Mile High City. I think they're the highest. I forgot.
Yeah, it's over a mile.
Yeah, it is. I forgot. I think it's the highest elevation in North America, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I saw something like that about Mexico City.
I mean, it's got to be up there because it's definitely, the metropolitan area of that city is something like 20 million, right? So if you think about like all the big cities in America, Denver's a mile high, but how many, there's like maybe 2 million, 3 million people there, max. But then you think about a giant city just like up in the clouds.
Damn.
It's insane. And I've only been to like Cancun and like border cities. It's only like beaches and border cities in Mexico. So I think that Mexico City would be a super dope trip. That's something I've always wanted to do no matter what.
Yeah.
Like go to like, the pyramids and stuff like that. So like
shit,
having a competition there as well is going to be like kind of an icing on the cake.
I need to go to Toronto too, man.
I don't know about Canada.
Why?
That's bro.
They're nice people.
They are nice people. They're run by Justin Trudeau, though. I don't know if I trust that guy. Their prime minister?
Oh.
I don't want to get into it.
I don't know nothing about it.
I don't trust him. I don't trust that guy.
There's a lot. I mean, Toronto's right there. It's
I'm just playing like, yeah, I'd probably be fine.
Watch you be the one that just don't come back.
Yeah,
you know, bro. We
seize my bank
heard
account.
you on your fucking pod.
Yeah.
You are not welcome out of. Or
it's funny. Andrew Schultz talks smack about Justin Trudeau all the time. It's really funny. And then
I just saw him a few weeks ago.
He went and had shows up in Toronto. Like when he was going, he was talking mad shit about Justin Trudeau. And he went up. Everything turned out just fine. That guy's hilarious.
He's funny too. Yeah, I saw him a few weeks ago here in Vegas. He's good. That's my type of comedy. Him and Theo Von, man. That very dark humor, very you might get canceled-ish vibe.
Yeah.
Like
it's borderline.
Yeah. And it's like it is what it is, man. I think if something's funny, man, I'm sorry to say it's funny. I get it. If the shoe fits you and it hits home, it might not be as funny with certain topics. But shit, I laugh at all kind of jokes. Black jokes, whatever jokes.
If you want to make fun of something and someone, you have to be willing to take it in return. You know what I mean? Like, that's just part of the game.
Yeah.
If you want to throw stones, you got to be able to either catch stones or feel okay when they hit you, you know? So I think comedy is something that we can connect on as well. Like, that's probably one of my favorite things now. Schultz, Theo Von. I actually got to see Rogan, Tom Segura, and Chappelle at MGM. This was like summer of like.
Oh, I remember.
21, I think.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and actually Talib Kweli opened for them.
Oh wow,
it was the best show I've ever seen in my entire life.
What a time! That's a good lineup.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I don't go to a whole lot of events. Like I stay away from the Strip.
Yeah, me too.
Living in Vegas, but I'll go down to the Strip for some good comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I felt it.
I'm trying to think of like. I'm sure this can be edited out.
Yeah, you can edit everything out.
Yeah. So, just trying to think of like different things that like. I should have made a longer list.
That's all right. You gotta let it flow. You don't want to be too.
Yeah. I don't want to be like. I feel like transitions to like is something that I can work on, but I think we did a good half an hour of already.
Yeah.
What are some things that you think of? Like what are some things that you want to talk about?
What are some things I think about? I think about a lot of shit, man.
Yeah.
Every day I think about shit and I'd be like, I need to make a video about this or something. Then I wake up and I'm like, it's not even that deep. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Just a lot of shit, man, especially with the fitness world, people. And I was telling somebody this the other day, a client of mine, and she has like a slight injury, like her hip is kind of like, she doesn't want to get a replacement. She might need one, she might not.
Complete hip replacement?
I don't know yet. I don't know. But she just has a hip issue, and I'm like, I get it, but let's see what we can do in the gym first. Let's work on mobility, let's work on strengthening it first to extend the time period before you have to get the replacement, you know? Because then you're going to be down, and then, it's just, you don't know the issues are going to come with it. And we've been working together for maybe a month, trying to strengthen the leg with the bad hip. That leg's not as strong right now. So we've been working on it, doing simple things to kind of help build it back up. And the other day, she got frustrated. Like, God, I just wanted this shit to get better, get stronger. And I told her, I was like, look, man, you got to be patient. Like, it's been a while since you trained it. It's been a while since you actually focused on this particular part of your body. It's not going to happen in just 4 weeks.
Right.
It's not even 8 weeks. It's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 months of consistent work. And I told her a story about me. I was like, there was a point where after my accident, I couldn't walk. Like, I literally felt the same way. Like, I was telling her, I felt like such a loser because I remember I had a chair in the shower. So I couldn't hold myself up. And my mom would walk me to the bathroom. She would have to, at this point, I'm 24 years old and I'm not trying to have my mom see me naked.
Mm-hmm.
So she would wait by the door, with the door closed, and I would have to use like the towel holder and all that just to crawl and get in the shower. And I would sit there. And there were times I'd cry.
Yeah.
Because I'm just sitting there and I'm just looking. I got this tube coming out of my stomach. I could barely wash my ass at this point. And I'm like, I feel like I'm 24 and I have a fucking old people chair in the shower. And I told her, I was like, I was there at one point, but it wasn't forever,
Right.
Like I had to do things, go to therapy and do all these physical therapy and do all these things to build back up. And now here I am, I can run, walk, jump, do everything, but you just gotta have patience, man.
Right.
And it also opened my eyes up to people bitch and complain too much, I feel, these days, I hear it all the time and I get it, life's hard, whatever, but then I struggle because I have compassion for people, but knowing the shit I went through and been through, and I hear people complain about the dumbest shit, and I'm like, bro, you don't even know what it's like to really feel like hopeless. You just missed your nail appointment or something,
Right.
And I remember laying in that, and at this point, I'm living back with my mom also. I'm 24, I moved out at 18, I'm back living with my mom, and I'm on her couch. Ribs are broken, body's broken, I can't move, I can't laugh, sneeze, cough. And I remember just laying there like, bro, this is my life. And she asked me, the client had asked me, I told her the story. She was like, well, what'd you do for like pain? I was like, nothing, because I had Oxycontin prescribed, but I'd never been a fan of prescription med just because of things you see about it.
Right.
And I never thought about it until she asked me that question. I'm like, damn, what did I do for pain? I was like, shit, nothing. I laid there, had to fucking take that shit.
Right.
But all that built up. That's why I love David Goggins, man, because a lot of the stuff I went through, I never knew how to explain. And so I would hear his story, hear him talk. I'm like, bro, it's really what I had to do.
Yeah.
I had to build my fucking mental shield up and just go through it. And that's why I relate to him so much on a lot of things he says when it comes to building that mental strength.
Right.
But that's one thing I guess all that to say is people need to be more patient and stop their bitching. Plain and simple.
I couldn't agree
Stop
with you
their
more,
bitching.
man. And I'm glad you said that because I believe that is lost nowadays, is playing the long game, right? Extreme ownership, being in control of everything that happens to you and within your life, right? Even if you were not the catalyst to that, everything that happens in your life is because of you, right? So having that mindset, even if it's not completely true, helps you move past it. And it helps you get better because of it instead of playing victim, right? And playing the long game. I feel like that's part of being well-rounded, right? Is being able to play the long game and know I'm never going to give up and I'm going to continue to get better. Because there's going to be peaks and valleys in your life. But playing the long game, anyone can be great in a season, right? It's continuing to, maybe you're not great in every season, but continuing that effort of greatness throughout every season. Sometimes you win, sometimes you fail, but that effort and knowing that there is no destination, right? The process is the destination. That's why I love when they talk about when Goggins goes and runs with his friends and they ask, how far are we running? And he doesn't give them an answer, right? How defeating is that?
Yeah, it's scary.
You have to get over it. We're just running.
Yeah.
We're just going to go. That's life.
Damn.
That's
dangerous.
life right there.
I fucking hate running. That's why when I relate to him a lot,
Yeah.
but then, he always says you have to ask yourself in the morning, am I going to be a bitch today? When it comes to running, I'm going to be a bitch. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a runner.
Yeah.
The way my body's built up, my knees are. But yeah, that's where when he talks about certain things, I'm mentally tough and shit, but yeah, I ain't going to that extreme of how he is. But I do love his content, what his message is.
Yeah, and it's not even just about running, it's a mindset for life, right? Because I can relate as well. Back in the day, some people, especially a lot of people from Vegas, don't know this, but when I got out of the military from 2007 to 2013, all I did was fight professional MMA at a pretty high level. I fought some of the best guys in the world. I never fought in the UFC, but I did have contracts with Bellator and Strikeforce before it was bought by the UFC. And I blew my knee out in a fight in the main event in Denver.
Did you get kicked?
No, I caught a kick. I threw a punch. I stepped through. My foot got caught in the canvas. And as I finished the takedown, my knee just gunk.
Oh,
done.
What'd you do? ACL? Or?
ACL and meniscus.
Oh.
So that was in May. That was on my birthday, May 19th, 2012.
Oh, wow.
Outside. I was 29 years old. I went and I got the surgery the next month. And I was like, fuck this. I'm coming back. Better than ever. And at the time I was living in Austin, I was training with guys like Tim Kennedy.
At this
Eve
point,
Edwards.
at that point of the accident, how many years in were you with the fighting?
5.
5 years in already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had already fought in like the Bellator Summer Series tournaments. I'd already fought in Strikeforce. I think my record at the time was 10-4. So it was 10-4. So it was 10-4 at the time. The guy I was fighting appeared on the show The Ultimate Fighter. It was a big fight. There's woulda, coulda, shoulda all day long. You know, I have a lot of friends that have fought in the UFC. So my coaches all have fighters that are in the UFC, some big stars too. And, you know, the cards just didn't fall for me that way. And that's something that I had to deal with because my identity was completely wrapped up in being a fighter. That's who I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And it was the UFC or bust for me. You know, I'm not going to drop a bunch of names, but a lot of the guys in the UFC, if I saw them on the street, we'd be like, what's up, what's up, what's up? I've trained with. But it didn't happen for me. And it hurt. And I was lost for a while, honestly, to tell you the truth. Because what I did was I rehabbed it and I came back and I was going to come back. I tore it again. Same exact knee. Same injury. The very next year, also in the cage on national television. It was devastating. I had just turned 30 at the time. And at that point, I was like, what do I do with my life? Right? Because I wasn't in the UFC yet. So I wasn't making a lot of money fighting, but I was good enough to. But I was like, do I take another year? And then I'm 31 and then I'm 32 before, you know, if I'm 32 by the time I get into the UFC, how many years do I have in the UFC? Right? Before, you know, I'm old. Not very many. You know, so at that point, I decided to shift gears. And I was like, I used my GI Bill from the time I was in the Air Force. And I was like, I'm just going to go back to school. I'm going to be a regular student, and I'm going to get my degree. So at that point, I was still living in Austin.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm a student now. And I was 30 years old. And I got to go to like university and have like a true university experience that I never got to have whenever I was 18. And it was really eye-opening and fun for me because I was able to experience something because of the work I put in something else. You know, it was kind of easy. I didn't have to have a job. All my stuff was paid for, things of that nature. But it was something that I had deserved and worked for. So it was a complete shift, but it was hard on my identity.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, college was the easiest thing I ever did because after being in the military and then fighting and then being just self-motivated for everything, to me, I mean, college, just go to class and study and get good grades was easy. So that was fun, but I was struggling with my identity big time. And so I ended up finishing my degree, and I got a degree in geography. So,
oh shit, we need more of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it?
I'm joking, bro. What the fuck? I don't know what the hell you do with that kind of degree.
Yeah, that's the thing. I got a degree in geography because whenever I was at school, I didn't know. I was like gen ed, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, what am I even going to major in? Like, I was literally only going to school to get my GI Bill money.
What do people do with geography degrees?
You can be like a city planner, or you can do GIS, which is like it's like digital map making. It's like basically how Google Maps is made.
You could have worked for Google. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't that good though. I'm good at like reading an actual map, but I'm not good at like programming maps.
Shit.
So I did that just because I enjoyed learning it. So once I got my degree in 2015, I was like, now what am I going to do? And that's when I moved out to Vegas. and I started working in the fitness industry again. So my adult life has gone computer programmer in the Air Force, professional fighter, student, geography degree, back to fitness. So it always comes back to that thing that you always were, right? An athlete, a fitness kid. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a professional athlete, but I was too small for anything. And then MMA came around, and I was a good wrestler. So I was like, oh, I finally had my opportunity. But I was born about 10 years too early. If I was born in 93 instead of 83, I feel like there would have been a big difference just because it blew up more, you know, after I was kind of a little bit over the hill, you know. And maybe I just wasn't good enough.
It's crazy when you think about it. Everything you just said, you know, through from 18 till now, you're a well-rounded athlete?
Well-rounded
Individual.
Yeah.
Think of all, as you listed them off, I'm thinking like, damn, bro, you went to school, you fought, military, now you're a dad.
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
bro.
you're
That's
a dad.
the most important part, bro.
Yeah, and you're back in the fitness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's literally well-rounded right there because you're somebody who tried different shit and never stopped.
Right.
You know what I mean? You didn't, as much as that fighting was your identity or anything and all that, that's tough when you go through those identity crises because, you know, a lot of professional athletes deal with that after college, you know? But you still found your way and it's still fitness on a different level. And I can tell that you enjoy it. Being around you and over the past few years and seeing, I can tell you truly enjoy what you do because it's second nature. You're like, oh, I got an hour to kill. Let me go run 13 miles. And I'm like, bro, what?
Hey,
you
man.
know? And I think I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I think it's good or a good idea to make sure you start sharing that more with people, especially because you are 41.
Yeah, I'm 41 now.
Bro, and you're jacked, fit. There's people out there who are in their 30s and they're dads and they're feeling like their life is like, oh my God, I can't get fit. I can't. They need to see people like you in this kind of light because they're like, to feel inspired and motivated. Whoever it is that you look up to, whoever kept you going, you can be that for them. Because, you know, as life is just hard, you know, in ghetto. Like, it just is.
You know what? We can bring this full circle, too, because as much as I completely lost my identity when I couldn't be a fighter anymore and I finished my degree, I was searching. I moved to Vegas from Austin because I was still searching. I didn't know. I got back into the fitness industry, which was part of what my past should have been. But then when my son was born is whenever I really found my identity again, because I was kind of everywhere until then. And having him recentered me and it refocused me. And I'm so much better because he's here than when I was before. And if I would have never gotten hurt, he wouldn't be here.
What for you has been the hardest part of being a father at this point? Because he's what, 5 now?
He's 5 now. Yeah.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
What's been the hardest part for you over the 5 years?
Honestly, I've enjoyed all of it. He is like my best friend. Like, you see, he goes everywhere with me. You know, he rides on my shoulders. We're BFS. It's done nothing but make me better. It's hard for sure. It's hard, especially the disability part.
Disability?
Well, the language barrier.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew this, but my son has ASD.
What's ASD?
He's diagnosed autism spectrum disorder.
Oh, okay.
So Rory's my son, has autism.
To tell them, I know your son.
Yeah, and
Bro,
so his language, his communication just isn't that of a neuronormative child.
Okay.
He's hyperactive, which is cool too.
Yeah, no, he's all over. I love it.
But the hardest part about it is knowing that he's a little bit different and that I worry for his future. I know he's so capable. He's so capable. That kid learned how to swim when he was 2.
I know. That's when around the time I met you almost.
Yeah.
Maybe even before that. I used to be surprised. I didn't know kids swam that young.
Yeah. He climbed Black Mountain with me when he was 4. Like the whole way. But it's hard because I can't have a normal conversation with him. And that has hurt me in the past, but I look at it as a blessing because I get a lot of stuff that normal fathers don't. In a good way.
That's good, man. I think it's important, you know, that obviously you're there in his life because somebody who didn't grow up with a father, I understand the things I missed out on, you know, that I could have had, which are unfortunate.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the cards I was dealt.
Right.
And, yeah, I can't imagine being in your shoes, you know, I know it's challenging. But I mean, I met him. He's cool to me, you know.
Yeah.
I like him.
And that's the thing. He's cool. When I say, tell Dorian and I, and be like, hi, Dorian.
Yeah.
If you're, yeah. But if you're like, hey, what's up? He'll be like, Doom.
And I mean,
but that's all good, man. He is who he is.
And I mean, with the autism thing, I don't know much about it. I'm just going off what I've seen portrayed in, you know, media or whatever. You know, like Elon Musk, I think, is autistic.
Yeah.
They
say he's on the spectrum.
Yeah. So he's bound to do great things.
Yeah.
You know, somebody like you who's showing how it is to be a well-rounded individual, I don't doubt in my mind he will be doing some great things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially because you do bring him around to the gym, on your hikes. You're exposing him to just different experiences. Every time I see you, I feel like you're out of town doing some shit. I'm like, bro,
yeah.
What the fuck, do you work? And I think that's amazing also, you know, because he's going to be getting experiences that a lot of other kids don't get.
Right.
That aren't on the spectrum. So it doesn't even matter.
No, absolutely. And that's part of what is so important to me is to always be having fun and doing something. But we're learning at the same time, you know, and I don't think that there's a linear way to learn, whether it's my son or it's you or anyone else, neuronormative children, anything like that. There isn't a linear way to learn, right? And that's why, like, there's such a shift in education now, right? It's because now that we see you don't have to go to school, get a degree, work in a job for 40 years. We have the capabilities to create our own destiny now based on how you learn and what you learn and how you're able to apply those things and bring value. So I think that's really important to recognize.
With the language barrier, I know you said you're not able to have normal conversations like that. Mm-hmm. Does he say dad or father or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
When we were going through security at the airport last month, of course, he doesn't have an ID.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's your name? And he won't answer anyone who isn't me.
Yeah.
Like, and I have to be like, yo, what's your name? Tell her your name. And he's like, whoa-wee. And then she's like, who's he? And he goes, Dad. So he's fully aware. And this is the thing, is that, like, I don't want to make it seem like he doesn't understand, because he understands.
Yeah.
Like, you've heard me talk to him. Yeah. That's why a lot of people, like, whenever they realize that Rory has autism, they're like, what? Mm-hmm. Because he's so normal, right? But I talk to him just like this, but it's the response, right? It's he doesn't voluntarily verbalize much, which will probably get better as he gets older, but he communicates in his own way.
Yeah.
Like, I literally always know what that kid wants, always. But me and him are super tight. So, but dang, that went fast once we started riffing.
Yeah.
I didn't even mean to get like that.
I almost got you.
Yeah, bro.
I was intentional, man.
Damn.
I was trying to get you.
Yeah, you got me good, bro.
That's good, because you got to share that, man. Like, I'm going to say you have to. You know, it's your personal life. But I think, like I said earlier, with sharing your fitness and all that, like, there's parents out there struggling with kids who have autism, who feel your pain, bro. They feel exactly what you did. I have a client. She has some autism. I remember when maybe 2 years ago or so, she was struggling, and she had told me, like, you know, there's things going on, like he's being bullied and this and that. I was ready to go to the school and show those bullies what it was. Yeah. You know, like,
I'd be ready to
I'll
fight.
show you a real bully. I don't give a fuck. I'll bail myself out of jail.
Yeah, straight up.
You know, and that opened my eyes to a lot. Like, damn, people on the spectrum, however it works, you know, how far along the spectrum they are, People need to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, people need to hear people like you, single dad, working, you know, co-parenting, and you're doing your fitness thing, and as strong and everything you look, bro, there's some struggles.
Yeah.
You know, there's some shit that's hard as fuck being a parent.
It ain't perfect. That's for
Yeah,
damn sure.
but you're doing it.
Yep.
You know, so always give yourself that credit, that pat on the back, that like you didn't give up on yourself when you lost with your vision. You're not giving up on your son.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I know he's fully capable.
Yeah.
And I don't even like saying it out loud because, like, for a long time, I'd be like, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine. I'm glad he's getting the help that he needs. I wasn't in denial. I just didn't want to put him in a box.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted him to be able to come out of it himself, but he needs some help. And then when he got the help, oh man, he flourished a lot. Like, you know, when he goes to a special school called Nevada Autism Center. And once we got him in the Nevada Autism Center, like just communication wise, within like 6 weeks, he was a new person.
That's amazing.
And I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose everything. So I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but anyways, Dorian, dude, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Anytime.
I appreciate you. You definitely are a well-rounded individual. I appreciate you as a friend, as a colleague, and, you know, as someone who I can look up to as well on different just endeavors that you're diving into. You're a man that takes action, and that's something that I truly admire about you, and I appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. Anytime you need somebody, I'm here.
I got you.
All right.
Yeah.